Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Renaissance with Swati. So, today I have someone with me who's so full of life and yet he's so humble. A very special person, Arko Chatterjee. So, Orko's journey has been literally very inspiring, from being an IIT alumni to a PhD scholar, becoming a very young leader in a very good company, and then becoming a director at Bain in company. It has been really very motivating, at least for me. I met Orko some 7, 8 years back. And when I met Orko, I was literally mesmerized by his personality, his passion and zeal for everything he does, and his passion as well as his compassion for all his team members. Orko, I literally saw you sitting on the floor of a meeting room once and discussing certain deep topics with the team. You're literally so down to earth, so humble, and your trust and respect with everyone you work with left me very inspired, and that is a quality that very few people possess, and that means you're really special and a very very good leader. So hi Orko, how have you been?
Thank you so much. I don't remember the last time someone spoke great things about me, but thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be on this podcast with you. Um, yeah, I am doing well. My son is roaming around somewhere over there, so he's kind of a bit cranky. So if you hear voices, that's him. Blame it on him. And I'm doing well. I'm really excited by this. I've not done anything like this ever. So a bit overwhelmed, but also very happy that I can share my thoughts, my perspectives, and have a chat with you, Swati. I've also been someone who had been enamored by your presence
Okay.
in the role that we used to work in.
Yeah.
You were always
Right.
the voice of calm and reason. So it always used to help me out whenever
That's a
I was
pleasure.
dealing with things which were unknown for me. So yeah, things are good, things are
Right.
great, and I'm looking forward to this.
So am I. So thanks for saying so good words about me as well. So Orko, would you like to say and tell anything about everything about yourself, to the people who are listening right now?
Correct. Um, I am okay. So I actually, I'm the son of a mechanical engineer who
Yeah.
used to work in NTPC.
Okay.
So I grew up in Bihar, in a very small
Okay.
little town called
Okay.
Kahalgaon, near a
I,
city that people may know about called Bhagalpur.
I know. I
My dad,
visited.
oh, lovely. So I, so I actually grew up in a township which had its own sets of, great things because it's an extremely cosmopolitan culture. It's like a mini India that you grow up in.
Right.
But my parents always had this sense that I should not go to the school that was inside the township.
Okay. Okay.
And the reason was they wanted me to not have a sense of who my father is, because when you are in a township and you go to a township
Right.
school,
Right. Right.
um,
Right.
kids intermingle with each
Ex-
other with that in the backdrop.
right.
And
Right.
so I went to a school outside of the township, and I am so ever grateful for that. Right? So
Okay.
it was St. Joseph School, Pakartala, and met some of my best friends, best mentors, best guides in my life over there. Um, I was never someone who knew what they wanted to do in life. I was very
Okay.
clear on what I did not want to do. It has mostly been like a process of elimination for me. When I was so our school was till class 10, and when class 10 got over, my dad said, it's better that you go off to Calcutta and pursue your 11th and 12th there. And I was lucky, very lucky to get into one of the oldest schools of the country, actually,
Oh,
and a very famous school, St. Xavier's Collegiate School, Calcutta.
okay.
Um, it was that was, I think, the first turning point of my life, because
Okay.
I came from this place which was like a very safe environment. Everyone knew everyone. I
Right.
was like this very
Right.
cool, quiet kid.
Right.
I used to be very proud of the fact that people know me, I know people, and then so on and so forth.
Right.
Suddenly, someone picks you up from there and
Right.
puts you in a scene
Right.
where you're
No
just
one knows
lost,
you.
right?
Right.
Exactly, and it kind of hit me. And but I also found some really lovely teachers over there.
Okay.
Um, some of my earliest passions start from that transition. I was always good at maths. I was
Okay.
good at physics, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I met this teacher called Anindya Mazumdar. He was a teacher. He was a maths teacher in
Okay.
Xavier's,
Okay.
and I was very interested in English. I was
Okay.
very good at literature and
Okay.
history, something that
Right.
used to interest me a lot.
Right.
So I got my wings there, right? So I got this freedom to explore what I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up pursuing statistics. Um,
Okay. Okay.
Again, as a process of elimination, a lot of people don't know this about me, but kind of applied for all subjects everywhere, and, and ended up choosing statistics because that's what the smart kids used to do. I did not know anything about statistics, to be very honest.
Okay.
I went in having absolutely zero understanding of the subject.
Right.
Um, and went into doing statistics, did my bachelor's in it. Uh,
Okay.
was decent at statistics, but I really loved probability. That's
Okay.
where
Okay.
probability as a subject became my first love.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and I watched this movie called A Beautiful Mind,
Okay.
which is an Oscar-winning movie actually from 2001.
Okay. Okay.
Story of John Nash, who is like the most famous game theorist there is.
Okay.
And there's this very cool scene in the movie which talks about around four friends are in a bar, and
Okay.
there are five beautiful ladies who turn up into the bar,
Okay.
and they're figuring
Okay.
out how they should go up and ask the ladies for drinks so that they can all go home with one of the ladies, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
these are all like Princeton
Right.
folks who are
Right.
having this
Right.
conversation.
Right.
And there's this thing that in the movie is depicted as a solution, which at that point in time, as a young kid, I was like, this doesn't look like the right solution.
Right. Right.
And so I did not know who that person is. And this is early days. This is Encyclopedia Britannica days, no Google as such.
Right.
So,
Right.
so I figured out this subject called game theory, and probability was something that interested me. I
Mhm.
genuinely liked maths. So all in all, I wanted to go and study a subject which was like that, right?
Okay.
And
Nice.
that's how IIT Bombay happened again. Very lucky
Okay. Okay.
to somehow get there,
Right.
and did my masters.
Okay.
And was always hell bent that after my masters is done, I'm going to go and work somewhere for
Okay. Okay. So how did
met
PhD
my,
have?
met my wife uh, at a conference. She
Oh,
was not even attending it. She was just
okay.
at the in the institute, and she said, "I'm going off to New York to do
Okay.
my PhD."
Okay.
So I said, "Oh, that's great, but does this work?" And we figured, Skype would be a great solution. And so I needed something where there would not be any working hours, and free internet. And IIT Bombay was anyway an
Right.
amazing place. I
Right.
think
Right.
if I ever got a chance to relive any portion of my life, I would relive IIT Bombay
IT
all
Bombay.
over.
Okay. Okay.
So that was how I decided to get into my PhD, to be very honest.
Okay. Okay.
but it has implications
Okay.
because I did not actually think about getting a PhD. For me, PhD was a journey where I could just go for the problems, right? So I
Okay.
did not
Right.
go about thinking that this is the problem, this is the area which I want to solve.
Right. Right. Right.
That helped me in retrospect a lot. And we can talk about that bit when I met my PhD guide, who
Right.
is one of
Right.
the influences on me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very interesting journey. Did my PhD in a bit under somewhere around 3 years,
Okay.
and
Wow.
then somehow got this internship at McKinsey and Company.
Right. Okay.
Um, the then director at the place, Anirudh Patil, he kind of got me over. This is when AI was just kicking up,
Right.
and he
Right.
possibly
Right.
had an idea in his head of
Right.
having some sort of an AI R&D
Mm-hmm.
with the
Mm-hmm.
consulting framework. And it's an interesting take
Mm-hmm.
because big data is a myth. You
Right.
won't get a
Right.
lot of data science practitioners
Right. Right.
raving
Right.
about
Of
what big
course. Of
data is.
course. Of course.
And and then I was interested. I was intrigued. I was very intrigued by the fact that I could work in so many different sectors or
Mm-hmm. Right.
industries.
Right. Right.
And he gave me this opportunity where he said that if you're willing, we would like to
Mm-hmm.
set the team up, and it would be your job to kind of set it up from scratch.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
And there was this poor old me. I had no experience. This institute of McKinsey and Company with all the famous MBAs in the world, right?
Right.
But somehow I met my people, met my tribe, hired a lot. I love hiring freshers a lot. Right. I always
Yeah.
feel they give you
Right.
perspective, they keep you on your toes.
Of course. Of
Um,
course.
and and yeah, so I kind of built this team up, did reasonably well at McKinsey, and by the end of my tenure at McKinsey, I was pretty much a client-facing consultant.
Okay. Right.
So I
Right.
kind of did both jobs, right? So the
Right.
hands-on coder to the
Right.
problem solver to the client-facing consultant,
Right.
all of that.
Right.
Got I actually got a bit bored of being a client-facing consultant
Okay.
because
Okay.
it became
Mm-hmm.
monotonous after a certain while because
Okay.
you were being, the faces were changing, but all I
Mm-hmm.
was saying was the same thing, right?
Right. Right. So it
Um,
becomes
and
monotonous. Right. Right.
yeah, so that's when Anirudh. By this time, Anirudh had left and joined Bain. And so he
Okay.
came and said, "Hey, why don't we try and build a similar concept within the Bain
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem?" And then
Okay.
that's how
Okay.
I joined. But this time around, in a lot more senior position, a lot more seasoned. So
Nice.
very different experiences of building the
Right.
same concept
Right.
in
Right.
two different environments.
That's really
In the
wonderful.
meantime, I also became a father, got
Wow.
married,
Yeah.
became a father. So
Right.
yeah, that's good. That's kind of about me.
That's wonderful. That's a beautiful journey. I personally have been to Bhagalpur. I know Bhagalpur silk is very famous. So when I went
Yes,
there, we bought the Bhagalpur silk, especially from there. And I remember it's a very small town, but it's very famous. It's a very famous town in
yes,
India. And then I
yes.
also visited Calcutta, and I've seen the change, the difference between Bhagalpur and Kolkata. And again, going from a little place to a big town and rediscovering yourself,
Mm. Yeah.
rediscovering your passions is really very different. So, Orko, like you mentioned, that you are a new dad, right? So, my first, and your kid is roaming around here and there, and there can be
Yeah.
sounds at the background. That is generally what, we women face as a challenge. And in the industry or everywhere, we only talk about, women, how they struggle being moms and handling both the things. So I want to
Mhm,
listen from you from a male perspective. From a male
mhm.
perspective, how is it to handle the two different things, and being a new dad and being, a corporate person?
Right. Interesting question, right? So, um, so see, I think honestly speaking, the woman's role when it comes to motherhood or parenthood, right,
Mm-hmm.
is unparalleled. there are certain physiological things that
Mm-hmm.
even if I want, I cannot,
Right,
right?
of course.
For
Right.
example, a baby always
Mm-hmm.
feels pacified or gets pacified when they eventually can get into their mother's
Lab.
warmth. There's this,
Right.
even
Right.
once, once a delivery happens in the pregnancy room, I mean, in the delivery room, right? They first put the baby in contact with the
Right.
mother.
Right. 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 Right.
But along with that, what I've felt is, I think a father is equally there. So physiological things apart, I think
Right.
it's on the father as to how much they want to step in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to always step in, right? For
Oh,
two reasons.
okay.
One is because I am very inspired by
Mm.
my dad and my mom,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
for the
Okay.
way they kind of,
Right. Right. Right.
I was always very close to my dad, still
Mm-hmm.
am.
Okay.
So I always wanted that when I become a dad, I should be someone that my son should know, should know very intimately, right?
Of course. Of course.
Every
Right.
day I should be
Right.
there, present.
Right. Right.
The second reason was to help my wife
Of course.
because
Right. That's wonderful. Right.
because because she is looking for her partner in crime
Right.
to step up.
Right. Right.
Um, and so there are it's a new feeling learning how to change diapers, look at look at a baby just
Right.
staring at you.
Right. Right.
This weird thing that I figured out that my son actually
Right.
would not just fall asleep at all.
Of course.
And so I figured out that you have those gym balls, right? In your in those blue big gym balls that you have. I
Right.
figured
Right.
out if you kind of hold him in your arms and you bounce on it, he would
Okay.
fall asleep.
Nice.
So, so
Right.
I would kind of enjoy the experience because um, it helped me try various things out which I would not have otherwise, right? It
Right. Right.
made
Right.
me look at myself differently. I would, it taught me patience a lot more. I think if
Right.
something I've
Right.
learned from
Right.
being a
Right.
father, it is
Right.
how to be patient. And also the changing nature of, the child grows really fast. And
Right. Right. Right.
the changes happen really
Right.
fast.
Right. Right.
Some of the times you just want it to happen slow, but it happens, right? And you got to keep pace with it.
Of course. Of
I
course.
actually, yeah, so it was nervous at first, but then I was
Mm-hmm.
quietly confident that I could do it.
Nice.
Um, became a lot more patient. Tried
Mm-hmm.
out a lot of things with Arjun. So my son's name is Arjun.
Right.
Tried out a lot of things. The way I would feed him. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Nice.
so
Nice.
every night he would get up, drink milk,
Mm-hmm.
and so in the early morning, my wife would be very tired.
Of
So in the
course.
first
Right.
6 to 8 months, there's this phase where I would get up at around 6:37 and he would be up by 7:15. And so
Okay.
7:15 to 9:30,
That is
it
your
would be
responsibility.
my responsibility to take care of him, right?
Nice.
And this is a
Nice.
time when he wants to play.
Okay.
And he can't
Right.
move much, but he wants to, just pull
Right.
on grass,
Right.
smile.
Right.
And
Right.
so,
Right. Right.
sometimes he would be cranky, sometimes he would want to play. So all of the various moods, how
Right.
you keep your cool, calm,
Right.
how you
Right.
feed him, that taught me something about, you know, the other's perspective, right? So, because about a baby, if there's one thing that hits you is they don't speak.
Of course.
All
And
they
you
know
have to
is
understand. Right.
yes.
Right.
And I am very statistical when it comes to these kinds of things. So I before I go through the process.
Okay. Okay.
If you would start crying, I would literally like a process of elimination say, oh, this is not the case. This is not the case.
Okay.
It's been lovely, right? And now he has started walking. So the first time he
Wow.
started walking, the first
Nice.
time he's
Right.
right,
Right.
all of that is it's amazing, right?
Right. It's
But I
amazing.
also feel that it's very essential for the man to step up.
Yeah.
Um, and it's an equal partnership.
Of
I
course.
think my
Right.
wife would also
Right.
tell you that it's a joint partnership, right? So,
Right. Right.
and it is, I look at it as horses for courses. So there are going to be certain things that the mother is going to be better at, and
Of
there are going to be
course.
certain things that the dad is going
Right.
to be better at.
Right. Right.
So if
Right.
you can figure that out, and if you are equal partners in crime,
Right. Right.
uh, then it gets really easy, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'll
that's
always
true.
have people who, yeah,
Right. So,
go ahead.
I can relate to it because I've seen me and my partner both being equal partners in handling our kids. And, there are different things. And I recently read an article which said that, a baby gets a warmth by getting in physical touch with the mom, but then the baby gets warmth from the dad by being, the dads pull them up, play with them, how
Yes,
they play with them. That's how the child gets oxytocin from the dads. And, that's a very
yes,
different perspective I got. Yeah, plus
very
also,
different perspective.
what we learn from the babies, how to handle the babies, how to handle their tantrums. That teaches us patience, which we can use in the industry as well. That is what I learned at least. Right.
Yes. So when I say patient, so I've been leading teams for a while, but post becoming a dad, I think just being able to keep your calm. I think
Right,
when
right, right,
everything
right.
is going all right, it's that I don't think I would have ever otherwise had learned that. But that
Right. So
is
true.
best
That is so
way that
true.
I have. And it's both ways also, Swati, right? It's not just that it's a great relaxation, right? When you come
Right,
back home
right,
from office and when you
right.
play with your kid,
Of
right?
course, you forget everything, right?
You forget everything. It's yeah,
That's true.
everything kind of
That's so
pushes
true.
away.
That's so true.
Yeah,
You get into a different zone. So, Orko, you
zone
also
altogether.
mentioned that, you love your father so much. And I personally know that you've been so family oriented. You love and worship your work, but you love and worship your family as well. So, we always
Mhm.
say that behind every successful man, there is a successful woman. So, who are those women in your lives? And how do you feel about this take that, behind every successful man is a successful woman?
So definitely the two women, right? So my mother and my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my mother taught me at a very young age that love is sacrifice.
Okay,
Um,
that's a nice perspective.
and she lived it, right? So she was actually a teacher in my school. She was
Okay,
a physics
okay,
teacher in my school.
okay, okay.
When I was in class 10,
Mm-hmm.
um, everyone, and she was a very famous teacher, by the way,
Okay,
um,
okay, okay.
very loved uh, teacher. And when I went to class 10,
Mm-hmm.
um, she felt that that she should possibly give more time to me
Okay, okay.
because my dad uh,
Mm-hmm.
was busy with his work and stuff
Right,
like that.
of course, right.
So and we all asked her not to, but it was her thing that she wanted to do it, and so she said, "No, right now this is my priority. You are my priority,
Okay,
and
okay.
post this, figure it out." So that really kind of somewhere down the line kind of touched me in a very different way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You look at something like this, and
Right,
from an
right,
outside perspective, you're like, oh, she had to leave her job. But
right, right,
what my mother will tell you is that it was her choice.
right,
And given
right.
the choice, she would do it every time. And I've had
Of
that
course.
conversation now with her.
That's really nice. That's
Um,
really nice. Yeah.
and then, but that also infused within me
Mm-hmm.
that, so my mother is a great singer, by the way. So
Okay,
it
nice.
infused within me that when I do get the opportunity, I should kind of figure out ways where she can possibly again pursue her passion. Right?
Right, right,
So
right.
when I went to Calcutta, she would go to singing classes, and
Wow,
then again she
nice,
got back into her music,
nice.
and she's been exploring that
Mm-hmm.
since then.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing she taught me was through action, right? Because a lot of people say a lot
Of
of things,
course.
but
Right.
saying it. in front of you, this love is sacrifice, right? So that is one thing that I carry with myself.
And that is true, you
She
know.
also,
Yeah. No, go ahead, go ahead.
go ahead. No,
No,
no, no, please.
I was just saying that, you know, that is true. I also believe that all our moms have sacrificed so much for us. And now when I became a mom, I realized that I understood that. Before that, I never realized that. But when I became a mom, I realized that, you know, for example, I live in Delhi and all the offices are in Gurgaon, and I personally work from home. And there are very less companies right now which gives you work from home. So, you know,
Right.
even if I want to, I do not want to leave behind my kids. My priority is my kids. So that sacrifice, you know, that you take for your kids, that, you know, you want to stick to a place because you don't want to travel and leave behind your kids for 5 6 hours every day. Instead, spend that
Mm,
time with your kids and make them your priority. That is a sacrifice
yeah,
I think every woman and man does something or the other for their children. The sacrifice they learn, right, from their kids for their
yeah,
kids.
yes, and you do it because it's out of love, because
Right, exactly, exactly,
it's
exactly.
not, other things kind of fade out for you, right? So
Right, exactly, exactly.
so I think I learned that from her, and I think my mother is possibly the best. So what I was thinking, right, is that um when I also look back, right, so she's this person who is very extrovert as a person, and she
Okay,
can form relationships just like that. I
okay.
mean, she
Very
will literally
social.
walk to people, very social, right?
Right.
I often, it's said in our family that, if my mom was ever in, PR or HR, and she would
Right,
have done wonders, right? I mean,
right,
she's amazing at that. The ability to form connections, and it's not on the basis of, a give and take.
right,
It is
right,
it is genuinely, she is interested in knowing a person, understanding who that person is,
right,
and
right.
being there for a person. Um, so I think that was one thing that I look, and even if I how much however much I try, I'm nowhere close to
I
her
think
on
you have inherited that thing, Orko, because you're also like that. You make connections all of a sudden. You're social. You're so social, and you also make connections just like that. You know, I've seen you done that.
yes, but Ma is on a whole other level, right? I mean,
Okay.
she'll just she just imbibes people within her
Mm-hmm.
warmth, which is a very difficult skill, by the way. It's
Of
not
course,
something that,
of course.
and I have seen a lot of people do it, but from a very narrow mindset or a perspective
Right,
in terms of like
right, right.
give and take relationship, or what we typically call
Mm-hmm.
networking.
Right,
I
right,
have learned from her that this way
right.
of networking is just to be honest and just to be open in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
So there are no variants of Arko that meets people, or variants of Ma who meet people, right? There's
Right,
Ma as she is,
right, right, right.
and however she is, right? I think that has been a great learning that I've had from her,
That's
over
nice.
over the.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
And one last thing that I can definitely think of is, see, she motivates you, and all mothers motivate, and take
Mm-hmm.
care of you, and maa ke
Right,
haath ka khana
right.
is good for everyone, and all
Of
of that is
course, of
great.
course, of course.
But she is also someone who is who believes in tough love,
Okay,
right? And
okay.
even if she would possibly have the means to
Right,
possibly, why don't you take the taxi today, or why don't you
right,
go and
right.
she would be very strict in those things, right? At that point in time, I would be like, why? मैंने क्या किया? That kind of feeling. But it taught me how to survive, how to how to make do with whatever hand I got,
Okay, okay,
in
okay,
the deck, right? It taught me that you should not complain about the hand that you are dealt. It's up to
okay.
you to make do and make the best of the hand that is dealt to you.
Of course,
So,
right.
So stop making excuses is something that
So how do you implement that in your, corporate life? All these lessons.
so first and foremost, the thing that you said in the beginning, that you've seen me sitting on the floor, I genuinely am a person like that. So
Right,
to
right.
me, when I'm solving a problem, the solution to the problem matters, people matter, right?
Right,
So
right.
and I do that unknowingly. So I've made sure that there are no variants of Orko that turn up for different people.
Okay,
There's just
okay,
one Orko who is there,
okay. That's nice.
take it or leave it kind of an offer. So I kind of genuinely have done that. And in retrospect, I believe a lot of my leaders, my mentors love
Mm-hmm.
me for that
Wow.
because because they are very clear on who Orko is, right?
Right, right.
So
There
so
should
they
be only
don't.
one person, right? They look up to
Yes,
integrity.
yes,
Right,
integrity, right?
right, right.
Second is sacrifice. I think as a leader, if you are not willing to make sacrifices and take hits,
Of course, of
you are
course.
never going
Right,
to lead, right?
right.
I know this is a very commonly used thing where people say lead from the front.
Hmm.
I actually believe in the concept of lead from the back.
Okay,
Um,
that's something new that I've heard.
so to me, a leader should be like a safety net.
Of course, right.
A leader, a leader should not be a person who is telling others or his
Mm-hmm.
teammates,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you do X, Y, and Z?
Right,
It is
right,
not. It should not be my job to tell how to do things,
right,
right?
right, right,
It should be my
right,
job to tell you why are we trying something,
right,
right?
right,
And
right,
you should go and figure things out.
right.
And you should be willing to fail because unless you are willing to fail, you would not succeed.
Of course, of
And so
course,
all that those people are expecting, therefore, is a safety net. That
of
if they
course,
try
of
something and
course,
if they
of
fail,
course, of course. Right,
the
right.
brunt should not be on them. It
Exactly,
should
exactly.
should be on the leader, right? So I
Right,
believe so that is to
right.
lead from within.
Of course. Not
I
that's
am a
really
safety net.
nice. Right. That's really
But
wonderful.
that means a lot of sacrifice. That means if something works out, the
Right,
credit should be that team members,
right,
not yours
right,
as the
right.
leader. If something fails,
The
it
credit
should be
should be
your name on
yours.
the block,
Right,
right?
right.
Mckinsey actually taught this to me.
Nice,
So I
nice.
learned this. Of course, my mother kind of taught me the concept of sacrifice, but how you imbibe that as a leader is something that
Right.
their company taught me. So
But Orko,
I,
I've seen
I
that. Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
no, I just wanted to end that by saying that I think a lot of times we confuse leaders with managers
Right,
because
right,
more often than not,
right,
managers tend to
right,
have leadership
right,
roles.
right, right.
But a leader is a different beast. And uh, I've learned a lot about these things on the job from my
Nice,
mentors as
nice,
well. But
nice.
the sacrifice bit is very important. You should be willing to sacrifice yourself.
So, Orko, like you said, all these things are very important, and I also resonate with all these thoughts. But do you think actually in the industry, all the leaders follow what you are doing, sacrifice, leading from the back? Because there's a very good quality, and I think everyone should be doing it. All the leaders should be doing it. So, how do you feel it is currently in today's situation, in today's industry? How is it?
Hmm. So before I answer that, I think there's this connotation that goes into all conversations of leadership with a sense of is this good or bad,
Right.
right? As per me, there are no such connotations of which is a good thing or a bad thing. I think every leader
Mm-hmm.
is a leader in their own way.
Of course.
It's
Of
a
course.
it's a culmination of that person's personality
Mm-hmm.
with the surroundings and the circumstances that they are in. So I think we give these broad-based guidelines and we talk about these cool things and we have this
Mm-hmm.
notion of is this good or is this bad?
Right.
But I think
Right.
everyone has
Right.
a strategy.
True.
And and a strategy is a strategy. But what I do feel is true to your
Mm-hmm.
question specifically, is that eventually the leaders who really make it to the top,
Mm-hmm.
who are at any given
Right,
organization, the ones who
right, right,
really at the top, more often than not, um, the ones who are the managers get filtered out.
right, right,
I,
right,
I think
right,
I think there is this space in any organization which is not this not the complete leadership, but somewhere about there. There's this band
right,
where
right,
there are a lot of people who are
right,
masking themselves and who are
right, right,
trying different
right.
things and not doing,
Mm-hmm.
not giving people opportunities
Mm-hmm.
because maybe they never had a leader who gave them opportunities. I actually currently have someone in my team
That's
who
wonderful.
has said I never knew that a leader could be like this. Right? And so because he or she was essentially doing certain things which you would possibly take a negative lens of, right? Saying
Right,
they would
right, right,
say
right,
XYZ needs to be done, right? Do it.
right,
But
right,
it
right,
is because they saw that leaders can be like that, right? So I think it's
right,
unfair to call
right.
leaders out for the strategies that they are playing.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we are all in it for to get some good money
Right,
and to enjoy our
right.
lives, right? And
Of course,
make
of
sure that
course, of course.
so I think people are should be at liberty to deploy their strategies, what comes naturally to them.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be a lot of reasons. So I don't necessarily like judging anyone's strategies, even if it is
Right.
detrimental to my strategy or my.
Okay, okay,
I'm okay with that. And
okay. Yeah.
by the way, so this thing about not having a connotation of whether something is good or bad
Mm-hmm.
is something that I learned from my wife.
Okay.
Um, so she was the one who kind of, I used to get very upset, different people trying different things,
Right, right,
typical things that happen in an office, right? And I was a
right,
very junior,
right.
and you got to understand, I had absolutely zero clue about how industry works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right, right.
there's this academic coming from academic circles, entering into this field.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to get really worked up. I would come back home and I would get on Skype calls with her and she's like, "Oh,
Right,
this is not right. This is not and
right.
she actually. So again, as I said, she's the other person who has been the rocks behind me, right?
Wow. Right,
Equal
right,
partners and everything. So she's the one who said, but stop crying over it, right? So everyone has
nice.
their own way of figuring things out in life, and everyone has a story to tell, right? You don't know
Course,
where
of
that person
course,
is getting the story
of
from.
course. Right, right.
So buckle up and figure out. It's a game. So
That's really nice. That's buckle up and figure out, right? Because everyone is facing some challenges in their lives. Everyone is going through something, right? Yeah,
yes.
right, right. That is
So
nice.
but what I have definitely observed is I've
Mm-hmm,
worked across firms, across sectors, across companies.
mm-hmm.
I think the people at the top make sure that the only ones that eventually make it to that level have that sense of of an inside out sorry that
Right,
outside in view
right,
of
right.
being about the bigger picture rather than the smaller things,
Yeah,
about
right,
how teams can function. So
right.
eventually that layer does come about. Leaders are
Mm,
like that, but
right.
then they are very few, all right, and they don't come
Right.
about
Right,
often.
right, right, right. That's what my observation has been. I have been lucky to have such good leaders in my life, but then there are very few like that, who can actually teach you and lead you that, so I think go and learn this thing and then come back to me. So this is
Hmm.
something that I've observed in very good leaders, and there are very few of them like that. And it would be great if every leader, thinks in this direction and help people grow instead of,
Right.
just spoon feeding them.
But Swati, don't you think that that's also a thing about security? Um, so
Right,
I've
right.
seen that when- unless someone is very secure in who they are, right, with
Right,
with
right,
what they can do and what they cannot do, right? I think a lot of really smart people struggle to be very good leaders
right,
because
right,
because they find it very difficult to say, oh, maybe I'm not that good at this.
right, right,
Uh,
right,
right.
right.
So
To bring up the calibers, to let people
yes,
realize what they can do, to let them know
correct.
what is their hidden potential that they cannot figure out, but the leader can see that. Yeah,
Yes. So I think leaders have to be inherently secure in who they are
right,
as
right,
people.
right, right.
I'm not saying I was. Um, I, I have also learned. You never learn to be secure,
Mm-hmm.
but there comes a point in time when there are things where you know that you know, and there are things where you know that you don't know and you need help. And I think the
Okay.
day I accepted that I can ask for help and
Mm-hmm.
reach out to people, I
Mm-hmm.
think that was the day I became a better leader. And again, it was Srijata,
Okay.
my wife, who kind of, you know,
Nice.
made me realize that.
Nice.
And
Nice.
yeah, so she's the first person I go and ask help from. So
That's really nice.
yeah.
So being, in the industry, having, your wife also working for similar things actually helps you a lot. That is what I have also been helping out. He has also been helping out my husband, helping each other out in different things. Another thing, another perspective, Orko, I wanted to ask from you. So why are there so many few women in the tech industry, specifically, we see that teams are full of males and the women in tech are very less. Do you think it is there,
Mhm.
or it's only my perspective?
I think it depends. So to be very honest, I think it varies from industry to industry.
Okay.
So so for example, if I were to work in manufacturing sectors,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, that's something that I would observe a lot more, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, tech leaders, tech female leaders are comparatively lesser.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think I have seen green offshoots where that has been changing
Okay.
in a certain setup or in a certain set or sectors of industry, right? So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
in consulting, for example, I see
Mm-hmm.
a lot more prevalence of women being in and not just women, right?
Mm-hmm.
People of other genders also being part of of the workforce, so to speak.
Okay.
I think,
Okay.
but then if I were to then flip the script and talk about how many of them eventually go on to take those leadership roles,
Right. Right.
I think lesser, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't I don't really think there's much of a difference in
Mm-hmm.
terms of you know the people the
Mm-hmm.
women leaders that I do know, they
Mm-hmm.
are exceptionally good, right? So I don't really think that there are differences
Right. Right.
that are there, that inherently prevent women from getting there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think there are a lot of other constructs of not societal, but I think more of socio-economic constructs that possibly hinder this. For example, um, when you are a leader,
Mm-hmm.
right? One of the things that you need to be very, okay doing is you need to be coercive sometimes. You need to really go after people sometimes when they
Right.
are
Right.
just going off the script
Of course.
completely,
Of
right?
course.
And
Right. Right.
coercion is actually one of the pillars of
Mm.
leadership, right?
Mm.
Um, I think women women typically find it more difficult to be coercive. They are more mentor like, right? Whereas
Mm-hmm.
men typically tend to be more coercive in nature. So I think it's a fine balance where each can learn from the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I think given the right opportunities being the key word,
Mm-hmm. Right.
um,
Right.
I think I don't see why women would face difficulties. They
Mm-hmm.
do, because I think there are issues in terms of, it's at that moment in time when they possibly become pregnant, or
Right.
they go
Right.
for that
Right.
month, and then they come back
Right.
and life
Right.
has moved
Right.
on and new technologies have come in. They have to upskill.
Right.
But if,
Right.
but if someone is willing to upskill, if someone is
Mm-hmm.
um, willing to kind of, uh, pull their weight, so to speak, right? I
Right.
don't see a challenge. What definitely has to happen is the company culture, right?
Okay. Okay.
Little things, for example,
Mm-hmm.
when someone is about to go on a maternity leave, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't treat them different. I don't think any
Right.
woman likes to be treated different.
Right.
Oh, you are 7 months pregnant. Also, maybe we let's not put her on. Don't do
Right.
that.
Right. Right.
I think if those
Mm-hmm.
cultural steps are fair and well
Mm-hmm.
put, I and I've been lucky enough to be in such kinds of organizations,
Nice.
and I tell my women compatriots that you
Mm-hmm.
should be vocal about such things. Sometimes the person in front of you may actually be thinking about you.
Right. Of course. Of
They
course.
might be thinking that
Right.
they are
Right.
thinking from your perspective and trying to
Right.
give you,
Right. Right.
but you
Right.
are possibly not expecting that. So I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it comes down to communication, where you
Right.
have to speak
Right.
and say,
Right.
if you are doing if I hope you're not doing this because of such and such reasons.
Right.
So
Right.
if you are
Right.
willing to stand up and say it out loud, I think a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
people will get the message, right? And
Yeah.
and you have to be fearless in saying that. It's
I totally
yes,
agree, I think people, they're shy of, or they don't speak up. So what they want, I also resonate with this, that you have to speak up. You have to tell very clearly what you want. I
yes,
being a woman, if I want to be into leadership, senior leadership, I have to say that. Unless I say that,
yes,
I'll not get that opportunity. People are ready
yes.
to give the opportunity, but unless I say what I want, people will not give me that thing, right?
And at the end of the day, so I think it's a competition. It's a
Hmm.
competitive environment,
Of
right? There are
course. Of course.
we and everyone needs to
Mm-hmm.
speak up, right? As to
Right,
what they
right,
and
right,
not
right.
shy away from those conversations.
Mm.
And I think if you are in a decent enough company, I think there
Mm-hmm.
are enough
Mm-hmm.
safeguards in place that are always there within a company setup
Mm-hmm.
where those things can be worked out, right?
Right,
So
right.
my sense is communication is a very big part of it, because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times I've felt that there's a lot of misinterpretation of intentions that go on,
Right,
right? Which
right,
can
right,
be eased
right.
out by communication.
Of course, of course. Obviously, you have to be very clear. The message should be very clear and
Yeah.
crisp. Short,
Yes.
clear, crisp. Yeah.
And also ask for feedback. Be very pointed about it, right?
Mm.
Um, you don't have to hide behind, niceties if
Mm-hmm.
you're if you're if you're looking for answers as to
Mm-hmm.
why certain things happened and why certain
Mm-hmm.
things did not, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think being direct, being honest,
Mm-hmm.
and being very vocal should really help in circumstances. People in
That's true.
genuine
Yeah. Right.
care.
That's a really nice perspective. And Orko, I really feel that, people who are working under you or with you are very lucky because, all these perspectives, all these insights that you are sharing that are truly showing that what a good leader you are. You are inclusive. You give them opportunities to grow. You get their hidden potentials out. You know all about this. That means that you are such a good leader that you can do all these things. And I think there should be many such orcos or many such leaders like you around.
I so Swati, what I do is I always think back as to when I was that kid.
Mm-hmm.
I always used to think, if someday I am there, these are the things that should happen, right?
Right, right, right.
What happens is once you grow up, you get a taste of the other side. And the grass
Right.
usually is always greener on the other side,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Um, what I mean by that is, so there are a lot of things that, so for example, the coercive nature of
Mm-hmm.
leadership that I spoke about,
Right.
I used to
Right.
find that very difficult. It doesn't come
Okay.
naturally to me,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But at one point in time, I realized
Mm-hmm.
that I need to have some bit of coercion in me.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, otherwise, I'm not going to get my team in order all
Of
the time,
course.
right?
Of course. Of course.
So,
Right.
so I think I learned it from my mentor Anirudh, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Who often tells me that being a leader is to do things that are unnatural, and you have to
Okay.
accept that, right?
Okay. Right.
So, and you have to accept that and practice it to a point
Mm-hmm.
when it comes naturally to
That's
you, right?
really a different perspective. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so you have to keep at it every day. I
Right.
do not get the luxury as a leader
Mm-hmm.
to get up in the morning and maybe I'm not feeling that well, my mood is not that great, but
Mm-hmm.
I do not get the luxury to
Right.
turn up to office with a grumpy face. My
Right.
smile should be
Right.
on, and it's not a fake
Right.
smile. I'm
Right.
there.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not faking it. I
Right.
genuinely
Right.
there at
Right.
that point.
Right.
I think
Right. Right. So
it's a
difference
difficult.
between, yeah, basically keeping your personal problems out of when you, as soon as you stop into your office mode, whether working from home, whether in office, you should be there for your team. As a leader, you should be
Yes,
there with
and
them.
you should be
Yeah.
genuine. You should
Hmm.
be genuine. I think when you're working with your team, they are your second family.
Right.
They will
Right.
see through you, right? You're going to
Right.
interact with them
Right.
for a day or
Right.
two, right?
Right.
You're going to see
Right.
through you. So be genuine, be honest, be who you are, be vocal, uh, be willing to be insecure around them,
Right.
be willing to
Right.
fail.
Right.
I think that's the culture that you have to go after, and it starts
Hmm.
from the leader, right?
Right. Right.
It has to start from the leader.
That's really nice. That's really nice. Having such good mentors around you that groom you in such a way that you also become someone like them or even better. That's really wonderful.
Yes,
And it's your, I think it's your destiny or your luck that you get such mentors and be where you are today.
it's always it's mostly luck, right?
Yeah,
I think
right.
um, fate and chance are two very different things.
Right,
So
right.
I think you have to be lucky at certain
Mm-hmm.
points, but I think if you keep at it,
Mm-hmm.
fortune favors the brave. So
Yeah.
if you keep at it, you start
Mm-hmm.
getting lucky more often.
Mm-hmm. Right, right, right. Fortune favors the brave. I'll take it with me, as the last line.
Yes,
Fortune favors the brave. You have always have to be brave in the field, and then the fortune
yes,
will always favor you. That's really nice. Yeah.
yes. And there's one other thing, Swati, if I
Mm-hmm.
may, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So and my I tell this to all the members in my team, and this is a principle that I live by.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the closest example that I give people is the Australian cricket team versus the Indian cricket team,
Right,
right?
right.
The Indian cricket team is amazing,
Of
but
course.
Australia always wins the World Cups.
Right, right.
And it's a mindset thing, right?
Hmm.
What I mean by that is, and I tell this to my team every day, this is a principle that I live by,
Right,
which is um, winning is not everything.
right,
And then
right,
everyone, when I pause there, everyone expects me to say, but trying to win is.
right, right, right.
I do not, I do not agree with that. Winning is
Okay,
not everything; it is the only thing,
okay,
right?
okay, okay,
It's a
okay,
mindset thing, right?
okay,
So
okay.
you look at the Australians; they go for wins.
Right,
They play
right,
to win. They do
right.
not play not to lose.
But
I
don't you
think
think, Orko, everyone plays to win, but it's
everyone
but they're
plays.
not
Most people to lose.
okay.
There's a
Okay,
difference. The difference
okay.
is when you're playing not to lose,
Mm-hmm.
you want to know what is my option B If this fails, what's my fallback option? If
Right,
that doesn't work
right,
out, what's
right,
my fallback option?
right, right, right,
When
right,
you play
right.
to win, you do not have a fallback option.
Of course,
You
of
either
course.
win or you lose, right?
Right, right,
And this
right,
is the biggest thing that I see in all the Indian students, that, the people who join the industry as well, the freshers
right,
who come in.
right, right,
Everyone is trying to, try out that new certificate, that new course, that new program.
right,
Uh,
right,
you
right,
know, they are never settled,
right. They're
because
always trying to learn
because
different, go into
whenever
different
they're learning
areas.
something,
Right.
they are not trying to be masters of it.
Hmm.
They are attempting it, thinking, let me try this, and if this doesn't work out, I'll try that. And it's a mindset of
That's a very,
playing not to
yeah,
lose versus
right.
playing to win.
That's a very beautiful life lesson, in fact, Orko. And even I feel that, being a master of, a jack of all trades, master of none. And I personally experienced it, when I was in school, I used to be out there on the stage also, in debates, in oratory, in dancing, in academics. But I was master, jack of all trades, but master of none never came. And I realized it very later in my life that, you have to be master of at least one trade. You
Good
can
thing.
pursue different things, but you have to be the master. You have to win at least in the thing that matters most. So that's a
My dad
beautiful.
used to tell me that do whatever you want to do, but whatever you do, make sure that you're the best in it,
That's really
right?
nice.
So that's the mindset problem, right? I think play to win,
Right,
don't play not to
right.
lose.
But don't you think, Orko, that will put unnecessary pressure on the mind of, say, Indian cricket team that, I have to win, I have to win, I have to win.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Pressure is good.
Okay,
Pressure is needed,
okay,
right? I think
okay.
we try and paint this very hunky dory, nice picture to the young generation. Life is tough. It's hard work. The
Hmm.
I think it was Rocky Balboa's movie, which where life is a mean place. It's going to keep you down and keep on keeping you down unless you fight
Right,
back.
right,
So
right,
yes, pressure is a part of life. Stop pretending that life is so hunky dory and fine, and everyone
right,
is out there
right,
to
right.
put you up.
Of course, of
Yes,
course, of course.
pressure will be there, which is why you need those leaders. Which is why
Right.
you need that leader who
Who
is going to
can
lead
be,
from behind.
right, right, right. Who can hold the
Right?
fort for you? Who can hold the fort for you
Look
if
at
you fail?
Saurav
Yeah.
Ganguly. Look at Mahendra
Okay.
Singh Dhoni.
Right,
Right?
right,
Go play. If you win, brilliant. If you lose, I am there. I'll
right.
take the
I'm
blame.
there. Right, right, right. No, that's
Right?
that's wonderful advice. Yeah. Pressure is the key. We all should know how to handle the pressure because many of us
Yes.
start dwindling when pressure comes in. So we have to
Yes. And,
understand.
and, and don't try and run away from pressure. Pressure is
Hmm.
good. Use it to
Yeah.
your advantage. Learn how to handle
Right.
pressure.
Yeah, that's a key thing, we have because at least in our societies we are not taught how to handle that pressure. Yes, the pressure is there, but then how do you deal with situations under pressure? How do you keep yourself stable, mentally calm under those pressurized situations is what is important and what should be taught to the students, to young child, to the children as well,
Yes.
how to handle
Absolutely.
the pressure.
And that way, I feel, it should be that way, because then you are really treasuring the people who are championing themselves in those pressure situations, right?
Right, right,
I
right.
had to I had to figure out how to be the best debater to win, right?
Right,
I had to
right.
figure out how to solve the problem really well
Right,
to
right,
crack
right,
something, right? So
right. Hmm.
not it should not be that participation prizes are just doled
Right,
out.
right, right. No, of course, winning is important. Winning is important. At the end of the day, yes, if you lose, it's okay, but then winning is important. But what I feel is that if a person is giving his best, they're going there to win, but still, if they lose, that's okay. But if they
That's
have
fine.
this, yeah, yeah.
That's fine. So we have to build systems
Mm-hmm.
where people should attempt to win
Win,
and
right,
be willing to fail, so that
right,
no harm in failing.
right, 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 right.
But you have to. try. You have to be
Right.
willing to succeed,
So go in
right?
the field to win. If you fail, that's
Yeah,
okay, but go in the field to win. Yes.
that's fine.
Yes.
If you fail 100 times, that's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
every time you turn up to win, right?
That's
I think
wonderful.
that's
That's really wonderful, Orko. It was really wonderful talking to you and all these insights, all these tips and advices I got from you today. I think there are very few people in my life, at least, I've got these tips from. And it was really my pleasure having these advices and tips from you. It was really motivating, really inspiring. Thanks a lot, Orko. Thank you so much.
thank you so much for having me, and lovely talking to you.
Lovely talking to you.